I have already said that I am not involved in the September 11 attacks in the United States, and as a Muslim I try my best to avoid telling a lie. I had no knowledge of these attacks, nor do I consider the killing of innocent women, children and other humans as an appreciable act. Islam strictly forbids causing harm to innocent women, children and other people. Such a practice is forbidden, even in the course of a battle. And that quote comes from Osama bin Laden and was made on September 28th, 2001. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Igan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I will be your host for the next hour. Well, my friends, the news of the day is certainly the alleged killing of Osama bin Laden by a United States SEAL team during one of the United States' illegal excursions into Pakistan. The United States has, of course, been carrying out illegal bombing raids against Pakistan since as far back as 2005 and possibly even earlier. This is, of course, without war ever being declared upon Pakistan, so they've just been sort of going in there and indiscriminately bombing another country. And even though a lot of these raids have been conducted by the military, there's very little doubt that these are, in fact, covert CIA operations, and the CIA's main agenda has always been stirring up tension around the world and paving the way for military and economic takeovers by the banking cartel that controls the United States government. All carried out, of course, as always, under the guise of spreading freedom to the world. Yes, folks, it's amazing how free people become when they have bombs dropped on them. Frees them from pretty well everything, doesn't it, including life itself. Good old democratic freedom. Now, folks, this alleged killing of Osama bin Laden is almost too predictable. It's almost as if what's going on in life at the moment is turning into a B-grade movie. At least they tried to keep it A-grade for a little while, but this latest farce is just beyond a joke. Now, as I've said before, and as so many people have said, Osama bin Laden has been dead for a very long time, probably about 10 years. It's very likely that he died in December 2001, and the United States government has had his body on ice since then. I mean, perhaps they didn't even have him on ice because they are certainly not able to produce any body for us now to confirm that he was killed in the recent raid into Pakistan, because the United States government then proceeded to drop his body into the ocean. And of course, this is what you would do, isn't it, folks? I mean, it's perfectly natural that if you catch the most wanted man in the universe that the entire world has been waiting for you to catch for some 10 years, you would, of course, drop his body into the ocean before anybody can see it and refuse to show any photographs to the public. I imagine you would want to do this simply to confirm that the whole thing happened just the way you said. So you can see the wonderful logic of the United States government, and if there was ever any question that these are truly the most incompetently sociopathic morons that the human gene pool has ever degraded far enough to produce, then there's your evidence, folks. I mean, who writes this stuff, honestly? What are these people clutching at straws now for a script? I mean, it really does make you wonder. But yes, folks, in what was obviously an extremely well-timed and very staged event, they allegedly killed him and dropped his body into the ocean. And they probably did so simply to add their final insult to the Muslim community, as it is against Muslim tradition to bury people at sea. And naturally, we are having Obama saying it's a breach of national security for them to show any photos of Osama bin Laden. I imagine they haven't had any time to Photoshop any up yet. And when you consider their use of national security as a means of avoiding showing these photos to the people, you've got to understand what they're really talking about here, folks. Is what they're saying is that if we release these photos we've got of Osama bin Laden, everybody's going to see that they're fake, and the government may thereby expose themselves as the pathological liars that they are, and the nation is likely to rise up against them. That's about the only breach of national security that it actually poses. But all of that aside, when you really look at the timing of this alleged capture and defeat of Osama bin Laden, it's almost too predictable. And as I said, we really are starting to enter into the realms of a B-grade movie. And let's just look at this, folks. For a start, it happened on May Day, of course, May the 1st. Why would it happen on any other day? May the 1st is, of course, Beltane. It's celebrated in many cultures, in many countries, May Day. And these celebrations and rituals that occur on this day go way back to Druidic times. And even in semi-modern history, May 1st is, of course, the anniversary of Adolf Hitler's death, and it is also the anniversary of the day the Illuminati was founded. And it is also, just coincidentally, of course, a day that traditionally celebrates the end of sacrifice to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, which is quite significant as we see the end of the hunt for bin Laden, of course. They just love their rituals, folks. They love to do things on ritualistic dates. And you see this with all sorts of events. I thought it was a nice touch marrying Prince William and Kate Middleton 2 days prior to capturing Osama bin Laden and setting the wedding date to coincide with Hitler's wedding date. I thought that was a quite tasteful inclusion. And indeed, folks, there was a good many rituals that seemed to be involved in that day. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. But getting back to bin Laden, there's all sorts of other reasons why this would be done at this particular time. And you've really got to step back and look at it holistically, folks. I mean, of course, you've got the release of Obama's completely photoshopped birth certificate, which is obviously fake, and everybody knows it's fake. So this has, of course, put the nation into a state of crisis because they've got a constitutional crisis from it because you have to be an American to be president, and it would appear that Obama is not. So the country truly is in a state of crisis. Whether most of the people realise it or not, it is in a state of crisis. And Obama's popularity is, of course, falling rapidly because everyone realises that this birth certificate is fake. So we need something to boost his popularity. So right on cue, enter Osama bin Laden and his extraordinarily timely demise, which is, of course, a very useful event for the flailing Mr. Obama, as now he can be portrayed as the man who caught the villain, and this should boost his ratings for a little while. And imagine the turmoil this will put people in as well. I mean, we've got a president who isn't even a legitimate president, and he's the man who caught the villain. So that'll do a lot for American self-esteem, won't it? And the event will also be used to point the finger even deeper at Pakistan and say, well, look, folks, we're going to have to legitimately declare war on Pakistan now because obviously we now need to go to war against Pakistan and kill as many innocent people there as possible simply because we claim that they were harbouring the most wanted man in the universe. Even though we don't have his body to show you, we are going to have to go in there and kill millions of people. Because we wish to promote freedom, of course. That's why we go and kill people everywhere, because we wish to promote freedom. And it will also be used to tighten up security on the United States a little bit more, to introduce more draconian measures and quite possibly stage a new false flag attack. Now remember, folks, when the war on terror started, and folks, a war on terror is simply a war on T-E-R-R-A, war on terror. Terror is the name of the earth. This is simply war on the earth. And that's the only way it can be seen, unless you really would like to say that it's a war against a state of mind, because that's what terror is. So it's either a war against the earth or a war on a noun, and what I'm seeing is it definitely seems to be a war against the earth and against the people of the earth. Now, when this war on terror started, we were told that we needed to implement all of these draconian, Hitlerian-type measures to protect us from the evil Osama bin Laden. But of course, now Osama bin Laden has been allegedly killed. They're telling us that they're going to have to not lift all of these draconian measures that they've imposed upon us, but increase them for fear of retaliation from bin Laden's alleged followers that exist in the mythical terror organization, which is in fact a CIA database named Al-Qaeda. So they've used this event to twice now step up security across the world. Security is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And people's freedoms are being removed more and more and more. And the government tells us that this is to keep us safe from Muslims who wish to steal our freedoms. So I figure their logic is that if they steal every freedom that we have, then there won't be anything for the Muslims to come and steal. But folks, there is no Muslim threat. The threat that we face comes from our governments, our elected servants, removing our freedoms from us, and from the damage that these criminal psychopaths who are in charge of our countries are doing to the globe. As I've so often spoken to you about recently, you only have to look at the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, the situation in Fukushima, and the huge amount of coal seam gas mining or fracking that has been carried out around the world. This is attacking the oceans, it's attacking the air, and it's attacking the water. And these are the three vital things that we need for life on this planet. Of course, we need the earth too, and they tend to pollute the earth as well, but I'm sure we can fix that. The earth can recover. I mean, we could simply plough a few hundred politicians into a field and let it sit there and ripen for a year or two, and we'd probably be able to grow just about anything in there. Simply due to the amount of added fertiliser their corpses would be likely to contain by default due to their profession. So we can, in most cases, fix the earth. But if we destroy the water table and we destroy the oceans, we can't fix that. We can never fix that again. And water is an incredibly important part of this existence. Water, it would appear through scientific studies, is what carries the memory of creation. Water is connected to everything. Your body is 80% water. Everything contains water. Even a rock contains water. Minute traces, but it does contain water. And did you know that things such as oil will not burn if the oil mix itself did not contain a certain amount of water? If you take the water out of the oil completely and extract it completely, then it doesn't burn. Now, science has now proved that water has memory, and everything that lives and dies and decays releases water, and that water goes back into the earth and it joins with all the other water, because it's all connected. And when it rejoins the body of water that exists in the earth, it takes that memory with it and adds it to the memory of the water. Water has memory, and it is all connected. Your body itself consists of 80% water, and every emotion, every action, every thought, indeed every single thing that you do or think or feel is imprinted into the water in your body. When you die, that water returns to creation, and it takes that code, that memory code, with it. And that memory code becomes part of the water, and it affects creation on all levels from that point forward. This is the physical medium that transfers the energy from one life form through another and carries it through time. You see, the interaction is electrical, but the physical part of reality is water. Water is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, in all of creation. And without water, there can be no life. And that's why I've been spending so much time lately talking about the issue of fracking. And you know something, folks? In many ways, I actually see fracking as a blessing, because now we are being presented with something right under people's noses that is destroying the water table on the planet. And I believe that this is an issue that can be used to unite the people of the planet. And once the people realize that fracking is simply a symptom of a larger problem, and they then turn to address not the fracking itself, but the cause of fracking, which is the system itself and the corrupt individuals within the system, then we may at last see a groundswell of people.